So guys, you join me in my Mark 7 Golf R. Yes, I still have the car. I'm filming this in early February and I'm going to do a bit of a comparison between my Ford Focus RS. Yeah, and just kind of explain it, how I've kind of been finding the two cars in this kind of like initial stages. So yeah, back in the Golf R, I've been back in this car for sort of like last couple of weeks after having sort of like so much fun in the RS. And yeah, just to kind of give you a comparison of these two cars. So just if you're not familiar, I've owned this car for nearly 6 years now. I've done 44,000 miles. I've basically owned it since new. 3 months old, ex-demonstrator from a VW dealership. Kind of what the channel has always been about this car, and I absolutely love it. I was very fortunate and very, I feel so grateful to be able to be in the position to be able to get a Ford Focus RS edition at the start of this year, start of 2023, and to run them both alongside. I have to say, getting back into this after the RS, it's so much different. This car is still super fun, but it's not quite as, hardcore track. Still gets the manual gearbox, which I still like. She's getting up to temperature now. I do actually like these dials, and actually initial comparison, I think stuff like this is actually really good. The performance monitor in the RS, you get sort of like little dials on the top. And what I'll do after I go for a quick drive in this, I'll come back to this location. I'll be in the RS, so you can get a kind of a back-to-back comparison sort of so early on. But I've absolutely loved this car, I'm not going to lie. 300 horsepower, four-wheel drive from the Haldex system. Really great. Fairly economical, to be honest. Not actually as different as I thought to the Focus RS. Steering's really nice. The quality and sort of like the refinement is top class. Classic kind of German kind of stuff. My car being a 3-door manual, you still get plenty of lights, and it's really nice. Electronic handbrake, whereas in the Focus you got more of a manual sort of side of things. And I love these cars because it's like literally like, if you think about it, it's like these are just normal daily cars. It's a Golf and a Focus. Yeah, I almost see like the Ford Focus RS, I saw Caterham earlier today. It's like that sort of level of track fun, yet it can just do everything. Servicing, everything is good. And yeah, I just loved it. I'm absolutely kind of blown away by the fact that I own these two cars. Gearbox is completely different. My Focus RS edition is modified, so it has slightly few different things. I'm going to try and talk to them as if they were both stock. This car is completely bone stock. The only thing I've done is I've put on genuine Club Sport S front discs. That's basically it. So it's got little drilled holes bits. They were an option on the Mark 7.5 facelift, and I've obviously, yeah, I fancied it. OEM official VW stuff. Everything else is the same, and really super fun. It certainly doesn't feel too slow. I mean, my Focus RS is basically, well, stock is 350 horsepower. My one is 440, so it's considerably faster, heavier, bigger, and actually I feel, yeah, I'll tell you about the Focus RS when I'm in it. But let's go for a little drive, shall we? And yeah, people can wonder why this guy's got a GoPro on his head. Start the engine manually. That's interesting. So straight onto it. I'm in race mode. You get a couple of modes, as you can see here: eco, individual, normal. That's kind of what you get. I tend to always go between eco, which just quiets everything down a little bit, and race. That's kind of my two default. When I'm in race mode, I tend to have the performance monitor up, which just tells you engine, oil, temperature, kilowatts being the speed. This car having power up to 221 kilowatts, I believe. And when I'm just cruising on the motorway or just cruising generally, I tend to be in this mode. Yes, I'm getting 19.2 miles per gallon, but I went to North London to meet my a family member, and I got 43 mpg from that 25-mile drive. So this car can be economical if you want it to be. But yeah, I'll treat this more in a race, because that's what people like. In race mode, you get slightly firmer steering, and in eco, it's pretty more docile. The throttle response becomes sharper in race, which I like. Other than that, it's pretty much the standard. You can fiddle around your traction control settings. I do quite like to do that, actually, because it just loosens up the car. Otherwise it just brakes a little bit too much, and it basically, if you put your foot on the throttle, it won't actually move. So that's one thing which is not so great. But I'll put it onto like a halfway house. You can turn it all the way off, but we'll do it halfway. I tend to not really do that in the RS, because the RS is, yeah, it's pretty crazy anyway. I absolutely love this car, and genuinely, I'd never see myself selling it. So if people are wondering what's Sam doing with 2 cars? Well, this is my car for life, as long as I can keep it. And the RS is a fun kind of, yeah, it's a fun car which can still be used as a daily, and I'm looking forward to actually taking it on events and stuff. I have been to a few Golf R meets in this car. Just doesn't, I'm a big Fast Forward fan, so yeah. But you know, I have a Golf R as well. This is where we're at. Oh, Subaru. Oh, very nice. 4-wheel drive in this weather, by the way, is pretty awesome. It's, you know, I just love it because you can still use the car. This car is definitely more front biased, I'll tell you that much, from the Haldex 4-wheel drive system. More front wheel drive, just with kind of like unlimited traction. And then with the RS, it's more, you can kind of use it at the rear, which is good. I like that Subaru. I think I've seen him before, actually. He's got very nice sort of like stripes on the side. We can check it out more because we're stuck at the lights. Yeah, I think you guys can see that. That's very, very cool. That's the new version of the Impreza. Not massively coveted because I think the old stuff is better for the Japanese stuff. One day, an Impreza or an Evo, definitely on my list at some point. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I think he's revving it. He is definitely revving it. It sounds very good. Yeah, that's, I think it's, is it a 2 litre in that? Or is it a 2.5? I don't know. But either way, they're boxer engines, I think, in those. But yeah, I like this Golf R. It's kind of like a Subaru Impreza in some ways, just with a Golf, you know, the Golf VW refinement, really. Yeah, I can't really get enough of how fun and exciting this car is on a back road, and the refinement. The biggest thing for me is this is definitely more chilled and more refined, certainly for passengers. But to be honest with you, when it comes to refinement, the Focus RS can do it, which is good, but it's not as good. And then what I will say, as we'll come to some twistier roads, is that although this car is really fun on a twisty road and I love the way it flows, the RS is another level. It's so good. It's as you can see, I like my Focus RS, put it that way. And this, we're on a Saturday, so it's like, I mean, exactly, if I put my foot down in this, it doesn't take long before you're doing the speed limit, and we'll tuck in. And what this car does do better is you can be in 6th gear and you can whack it into an eco mode and it just quiets it down. Okay, you're going to hear a bit more wind noise because it's been very quiet, but genuinely the wind noise is quite good. This is just a Golf. I don't have any adaptive suspension on this, but you can get dynamic chassis control if you want to make it even more comfortable. I've got nothing on the passive dampers. I think the biggest difference is the wheel size. This is 18-inch wheels. I think that's slightly better for refinement. My RS is 19s. You can get this in 19s. Each to their own. 19s adds to performance, but you lose the refinement. You can't win at everything, basically. I still can't believe how much I love this car. From the moment I picked it up in 2017 to being here now in 2023, nothing has changed my mind. It's such a good car, and we'll go straight back into race. And yeah, we'll have some fun. Brakes are pretty decent on this one. There's a nice M2 there. I was also thinking about getting an M2. I have driven one on track, an M2 comp, and I wasn't too sure. But anyway, we're trying to compare my Focus RS to a Golf R, a comparison that I don't think any real other YouTuber is going to be able to do, because they probably don't have both. And if they do, they probably work for some sort of dealership or something, whereas I privately own my cars, and I love my cars. No one else owns them except me. Yes, let's have some fun. One thing about the seating position for me, I have quite long legs. So sometimes I find it quite difficult, like on a cruise, you're too far away from the steering wheel. I think the seating position is actually slightly better in the Recaros with my RS, but it's hard to tell. You actually sit probably a little bit lower in this car. It's apples and oranges, I don't know, pears and bananas. You know, I don't know how to compare these two cars, but they're both 4-wheel drive and they're both family practical cars, which is, you know, I like. I love how, particularly on slippery, wet, cold winters like this in the UK, everyone spins their wheels because most cars are front wheel drive around here. Doesn't matter how much power you got through them, you're going to spin your wheels, whether you have 100 horsepower or 300 horsepower. And do I spin my wheels in my Golf R? No. Do I spin my wheels in my Focus RS? No. And that's what I like, and that's what I like about why I have these two cars. You get a bit of a sound imposer, and you do also get a few little burbles. The valves will open in the exhaust, but it's obvious, well, you're gonna hear it's nowhere near as loud as the RS, like not even it's not even a comparison. And that's from stock as well, I would say. But actually the R holds its own. Both my cars, well, they're both pre-OPF, this being a 2017 car, my RS being a 2018 car. So you don't have the OPF filters to ruin the noise. So these are as good, realistically, as a 2-litre 4-cylinder is going to sound and a 2.3 in the Ford. So noise-wise, I'm happy. Plus, we're living in a world where everything's electric. I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying these while I very much can. Yeah, they offer so much for me in so many ways, both cars. And I do encourage people who follow me on YouTube to hold on to your stuff for long term. You know, I did have a Fiesta ST200, which I didn't have for that long, because the mods weren't quite to my tasting. But if I had kept on to that, not only is it a great car, but it's actually really good investments. You know, this car is an investment for me because I'll just keep it for life. The RS edition, you know, yeah, maybe it's worth a little bit more than I paid for it. Who knows? Fucking hell, I love this car. There's an electric car. They're everywhere. We can't escape them. I've got nothing against electric cars, by the way, but the infrastructure is not there. I spent a month with one and it is nowhere near there. Maybe in a decade or two. Maybe in a decade or two. But yeah, we're going to spin her back because I don't know about you, I want to drive my Focus RS, and I think that's the thing. If I was to die today, the last car I would want to be driving is the Focus RS. But if I was to know that I'd die in 50 years time, I would choose this car. So this is the car for life. The RS is the car for the blast, for the fast forward events. Ah, it's so good. I love how you can just, the corners are ridiculous. I'd say this car actually probably weighs a little bit less than the RS. I think the RS sort of tips over 1,500 kilos. Makes up for it for the more power. This car is about 1,450 because it's 3-door manual, so you save a little bit of weight. It's not as wide. The RS has really wide tracking to the point where the wheels are sometimes wider than speed bumps. So it's just a really is a different experience, but you know, I love them both. And a lot of people have said, I remember reading magazines back in the day, and it was like, oh, the RS owner wouldn't own a Golf R and a Golf R owner wouldn't like an RS. I'm completely different. I love my Golf R, and I have an RS. I love my fast forwards, I always have done. It's just been a family thing for me. But if you're a fast forward fan, do not underestimate how fun a Golf R can be. If you hear reviews where people just say, oh, it's boring and rubbish and, well, not rubbish, but too docile, no chance. It doesn't hit the same height. It probably hits an 8 or a 9 out of 10 when you're really on it. Whereas, well, I'll show you with the RS. The RS hits flipping well above 10. But yeah, that's my little sort of initial overview. There's, again, loads I can talk about this. We'll hop in, you'll join me next in the exact same location in the Focus RS edition to see yeah, how it is a bit back to back. I haven't driven that car in a couple of weeks now because it's been parked up. I am one person, I can only drive one car at a time. So it'll be interesting to see how I find it, and yeah, exciting time. So yeah, you will join me in the RS edition. So, as if by magic, you join me in the exact same place I started in my Mark 7 Golf R, in my Mark 3 2018 Ford Focus RS edition. It has got start-stop, but it is running because it's a little bit cold. It's getting warm though. I have the display off. and just because there's nothing really in the infotainment that gives a performance sort of orientated vibe, which is a bit of a shame. You do get like Ford Performance and RS sort of appear, which is cool. My car being the RS edition, as I mentioned before, has a bit of carbon fibre bits, but this is basically on standard on all RSs. So you get the oil temperature, you get the turbo pressure bar, engine temperature, everything really, and obviously you got the temperature there to be at 90 degrees. So the car needs a little bit of warming up for the stop starts. 6-speed manual gearbox, manual handbrake, super fun. You get drive modes. I've got this in its normal setting at the moment, and I absolutely love it. Just for the short little bit that I've been back in this car, it's more race car. Now you may see little marks. That is from a family member's cat. Part and parcel of ownership of a car, you can't really avoid certain things. So this car will be getting a nice clean. I've actually got a plan next week which will be in the next video, with this Focus RS edition against a 2022 Mark 4.5 Focus ST, which you've seen on the channel before. So I think a direct comparison will be brilliant. But let's talk about how I'm finding this compared to the Golf R. Well, first of all, it's a lot louder, but from stock this isn't too bad. This car has a Miltech exhaust with a sports cat, so it's quite loud. It's 440 brake horsepower, so it's faster than normal. And I have driven this car stock briefly back in 2016, and to be honest with you, performance wise there's not much difference between this and the Golf R. I have to say, this weighing a little bit more kind of counteracts the extra sort of 40-45 brake horsepower, and I find with the Golf R's 2-litre engine it pulls a lot better, probably more above illegal speeds than this. But this car is super quick. Top speed of the Golf R, they're always limited to about 155. This will do 167, but with my Revo Stage 2, it will probably go on to about 170, 175, which is crazy. But lots and lots of fun. The seats are a lot different as well. I probably should have talked about that before. A lot more comfortable with the R-style seats. From the Golf R. These are pure buckets, rock solid, yeah, fixed buckets, so you can't go up and down, but you can go side to side. This being a 5-door, not a 3-door, it's super fun. It's unbelievably fun. You know, I just kind of want to, I just want to get on the move. It's that brilliant. But you still get all the normal luxuries. You get heated steering wheel. You don't get heated seats in these Recaros. You do get cruise control. It's not adaptive, I believe, which you do get in the Golf, which I do like for cruising. Auto lights. The lights are actually, you know, the bi-xenons on the Golf R I thought were brilliant. These are actually arguably better. I don't know if it's got Ford sort of upgraded dynamic lights, but they're flipping awesome. They're so good, and they sort of follow the road as well. This car is a lot wider. It has an awful turning circle. The Golf R has a turning circle of a normal car. Really good, turns on itself. This car, because of the rack, because of the width, yeah, and the tracking and stuff, it is more race. This is more race car. It's more of a 10 out of 10 for fun, but yeah, a little bit less on the refinement. But it is still a Ford Focus. You can get 4-5 people in here. Big boot. Both the Golf R and the Focus RS have slightly shallower boots because of the 4-wheel drive system. Haldex in the Golf R, and I'm gonna say the Focus RS one's developed by a company called GKN. I don't 100% know, I can't remember off the top of my head. Shall we get on the move and go for a little drive? Because I think that's kind of what you want to see. I like the dials. It's the blue theme. Very similar to my Golf R inside, obviously slightly different on the outside, being a nitrous blue paint. I'm going to use my wipers because I want to get rid of some of the cat stuff. This car also has a heated front screen, which comes in handy big time during, well, winter months. The only bad thing is the heated front screen will only work with the engine running. So of course, can you imagine on a very cold morning, you wake up, yeah, luckily I get on very well with my neighbours, and they know the sort of cars that I have, being an automotive YouTube person and having fast cars in general and loud cars. But yeah, 6 AM, this car, yeah, you kind of probably want it stock realistically. Yeah, let's have a whole heap of fun. Because this car is a whole heap of fun. This time people are going to let us out, which is very nice. I like having a manual handbrake. It's a bit more old school. Mine's got carbon fibre on it, real carbon fibre. It's not some sort of wrap. It's really good carbon fibre here, so it feels quite good quality. Other than those bits, it is more focused, but you get soft touchy materials. It's certainly a lot more up class than say like my Fiesta ST200, which I had previously. I really like it. You know, I've got nothing against it. It's got really good convenient bits actually, like 2 of these, one stuck under there, Android Auto, you don't have to pay anything extra like you do on the Golf. So it's like, yeah, it's like I was kind of saying before, you know, apples and oranges, I guess. But the short shifter is very, very nice. And one thing I will say, and this is even with the car stock, the manual gearbox is much better in this car. It's more suited, I would say, for actually like performance driving. Whereas the Golf R, I personally feel the clutch is not up for the job. I already had to replace my clutch about at 35,000 miles, and I do not push the car hard because it was slipping. This I think holds up well. This has had a new clutch about 10,000 miles before I purchased it and stuff, and a new flywheel, so it's fully ready to go for me, which is unbelievable. I mean, I'm still lost for words. I talk fast because this is just like a dream. I've wanted this car for so long, and I never thought I'd get the opportunity to buy it, and I have. And as I've mentioned in previous videos as well, big shout out to like Ken Block, because he helped to design it and he pushed me to really finally, you know, I had a deposit on this car in late December, and it was unfortunately he passed away in between, and I just decided, you know what, you live once, Sam, enjoy it. And yeah, I am going to enjoy it, trust me, and I have been enjoying it. I've probably done about, I'm going to say about 400, maybe 500 miles in the car, so nowhere near as the 44,000 in my Golf R, so I can't really compare it to that. Now, there is no real quiet mode in this. Well, I suppose it's quieter, with the valves are kind of not popping and banging at the moment, but I can change that. You will notice this car is a little bit louder. Nice and greasy and slippery, perfect for a four-wheel drive car. One thing I didn't mention is the gearing, I would say, is actually slightly better in this, because it has a slightly, it revs less in 6th gear. So I quite like that because it's just a little bit more chilled. The Golf R actually revs a little bit higher, which is not as good for economy. All little minute details that you'd never know if you didn't own it. It cruises okay, it's firm. This does have adaptive suspension, but the adaptive suspension makes it firmer. That's basically your options, firm or firmer. It's super fun. It's, as you notice, it's probably a little bit louder in here. Bit of the wind noise, Mark III focus, probably not as refined as the Mark 7 Golf. And also because my car's modified with the exhaust, and it's got, you know, AirTech intercoolers and everything. It's a good little car, and Ford are in such a good place at the moment in 2023. Yesterday, they actually announced that they're back in F1 with Red Bull, so it's super exciting, and I'm so glad, because I was this is why I got the car, because I'm losing hope. Everything's going electric, and it's just not what I'm passionate about, you know, and I'm passionate about the cars I have. And yeah, this is something special. I do like going down on the downshifts. The clutch seems to like, you know, me not necessarily knowing how to heel and toe as well. Brakes are very good. The Brembos are definitely bigger and more powerful than anything I've ever seen before. I've got a fast car behind me, but if you saw the Audi TT flying down the road, well, he's not really got a chance with this being 440 brake horsepower, I have to say. But I'll tell you what, let's whack it into sport mode, because that's kind of what I had the Golf in. I had the Golf in race mode, so this is sports mode. What you will notice is this car will begin to pop and bang. Whether or not you can hear that over noise and road and stuff, I don't know. The steering is a lot more direct, and that shorter rack, which means you have a worse turning circle, comes into play when you're on a back road having fun. Even if you're stuck behind a Skoda Fabia with an Arnold Clark sticker on the back, this car is still super enjoyable. I have actually driven that Skoda Fabia, and they are quite nice. They're just not quite as nice at 38 miles an hour in a 60. But let's persevere. And this is the one reason why I've got these cars, by the way, because I know time to actually enjoy them on the roads is beginning to come to an end. You know, there's no way we can eke this out for that much longer. I'm really eking this out. I'm half tempted to take this on track around Thruxton potentially, because I've driven the Focus ST around there a couple of times and I really like the track. But we'll just have to see. What else? So fuel economy on a cruise, I can get over 30 mpg. That's what I've managed to somehow get, which makes sense. 440 brake horsepower, slightly smaller fuel tank, so I suppose less weight and stuff. But whereas I can get into the 40s, but this car, if you're on it, you're going to be in the teens. Same with the Golf R, to be honest, low 20s. So that's the economy side of things, but it's not actually that bad. I do not commute in either of my cars, so they are just pure private fun, whatever, or going to well, in the Golf's case, going to the shops and stuff. But oh man, see, this car does make me smile and laugh at slow speeds. I don't necessarily feel I have to absolutely be on it, but the limits are so beyond what you can do on the road, and probably even what I could do on track. It's just so capable. It's such a pure car. This does have track mode, and all that really does is it will just loosen up the traction control some more and make the suspension rock solid. But as you can see with these roads, it's not quite smooth enough, let's say that. It's a smile car. You probably can't see me smiling because I'm doing a point of view. It is brilliant. I mean, flip me, it's a brilliant car. Oh man, I'm so fortunate to have it, and I've just been mega enjoying it. I mean, this car does not know what they're doing. This is classic weekend drivers, unfortunately. I don't normally drive my cars on a Saturday, but I do today. Turning circle's not that good, but we can get around the roundabout. And, well, I've never seen more awful parking than that. Whoever that car is, you are horrendous, because there is absolutely nothing I can do here. Quite literally stuck. So I'm gonna have to go at some point. Okay, so you see what I mean? This car shifts, and it's a lot more rear biased with the four-wheel drive system. The Golf R just does it. This does it with a bit more play. I'm going to slow her down because it is a wider car. It's that front track. Oh my god, this car is so much fun. The brakes give you a lot of confidence to push it. I like the pops and bangs. It's good to let her kind of breathe a little bit because I've been working hard. I do a lot of cycling and running, and I don't tend to, like I said, I don't commute. So this is just for fun, and I have cars to drive. You know, I don't like them sitting there. And certainly I'm really looking forward to some of the Fast Forward events. I will be at the one at Bewley in the New Forest. I went to that last year. That's what convinced me to get an ST200. So you'll see this RS edition there. I'm sure you'll probably recognise it because it's got the Mount June bonnet vents, and it's an RS edition, one of only 500 cars. Sadly, we live in a world where this is just not going to work. Particularly in the UK, you just can't have fun as I probably used to when I was in my early 20s, now being in my early 30s. But I'm enjoying it. I love the car. I love fast forwards, and just as a comparison between the Golf R, surprisingly, they are actually quite a bit different. This, think more race, think more track. Golf R, think more best of every world. Exactly what I said. If I was to die later today, this would be the car I'd want to go out on, 100%. But if I plan to die in my old age, stick with the Golf R. So for now, I'll hedge both bets, and I'll have both. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about the differences between these cars, and yeah, for sure I will do my best and I will answer and I will try and help you out to give you an idea. But I'm super grateful and thank you so much for the support. Subscribe for more content. This against a Mark 4.5 Focus ST should be absolutely amazing.